Welcome to Doodle Healing the Warrior Way podcast, where your life is your masterpiece. I'm Cindy Bayless, your Doodle Warrior Coach, here to help you turn self-doubt into unshakable confidence, rediscover your purpose, and create a life you can't wait to wake up to. Grab your favorite pen and let's doodle your way to clarity, joy, and freedom, one episode at a time. You do everything for everyone for years. You build your life around your kids' needs, their schedules, their emotions, and their growth. And then one day the house gets quiet. Not because something went wrong, not because you failed, but because your relationship has changed. And what nobody really prepares us for is this. When the noise goes away, the questions just get louder. They sound like this. Who am I now? What am I supposed to do with myself? And do I even have a purpose now? If you've ever asked any version of those questions, this episode is for you. Grab your Kleenexes because it's an emotional one for me. My third daughter decided at 17 that she was going to be an au pair. That's a nanny in another country. At first, I didn't argue with her. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I just avoided the conversation. Every time she brought it up, I changed the subject. I acted busy and I hoped this idea would pass, but it didn't. She had done her research. She knew what becoming an au pair meant. She'd gone online, joined an au pair site, found a family in Italy, applied for her passport, received her passport, bought herself a plane ticket, and packed her bags. And even though she knew French and not Italian, she wasn't worried. She said the family already spoke English, but I was worried. I was terrified. Who were these people? Were they safe? Would she be okay? Would we ever see her again? The day came and we loaded up our car and drove 6 hours to the nearest airport. If you've ever dropped someone off at the airport, you know there isn't much time. You pull up to the curb, tell them you love them, unpack their bags, and they disappear with their bags into the building. And that was it. She was gone. Yes, there were a few tears, of course, but what surprised me most was this. She didn't seem devastated to leave. I was so sad she was gone, but I was also sad that she wasn't more sad. My husband and I climbed back into our car and started our long, quiet drive home. But somewhere along that drive, my phone rang. Cell service is spotty on that road, so when it rang, I was surprised. I glanced at my phone screen and saw her name flash on the screen. I thought, it's her, my runaway daughter. I answered and all I heard was, Mom, and then sobbing. We both lost it. My husband pulled the car over so we could talk to her. Nothing was wrong. She hadn't missed her flight. The plane wasn't crashing. She hadn't changed her mind. She had just landed in Cleveland and realized she didn't know the people she was going to live with. Suddenly, she felt very far away from home and lonely. We cried together. And I secretly hoped she'd turn around and come back. But she pulled herself together and got on the plane and flew to meet her new family in Italy. And my heart was broken. I told you to grab your Kleenexes. On the surface, this story is about my daughter and her grand adventure to Italy. But underneath it, there was a much bigger question forming inside of me. The question was, who am I if I'm not needed anymore? Separating being a mother to young children from being a mother to adult children has been one of the hardest transitions of my life. I have questions like, how often do I call them? Do I wait for them to call me? I don't want to bother them. Where's the line? How much space is support and how much is interference? And the question that scared me the most, am I too old to be anything other than a mom? I had been a stay-at-home mother for 30 years. That role shaped everything. It shaped the choices I made about my personal development, about what I would do every day, my priorities, and literally my identity. So when one of my children left the country, it wasn't just about distance. It was about relevance. I thought she didn't need me anymore. And if she didn't need me, then who was I supposed to be? So many women find themselves in this exact same place. The demands on us are different. And suddenly everything is quiet. We don't always talk about this part. We talk about missing our children. We talk about how proud we are of them, and we talk about how worried we are for them, but we don't always talk about the identity shift that happens underneath it all. The belief that quietly sneaks in and says, it's too late for you, too late to try something new, too late to want something different. too late to matter in this world. So we stay busy. We fill our days. We avoid the questions because asking them feels risky. But here's what I've learned and what I want you to hear. Clarity does not come first. Belief does. If you're waiting to know exactly what you want to do before you believe in yourself again, you'll remain stuck. Stuck means you don't move forward or backwards. You just stay where you are, waiting, wanting, and wishing for something more. Belief is what gives you permission to ask honest questions. Belief is what lets you sit in the quiet without panicking. Belief is what allows you to imagine a future that includes you and your future self. The role you have claimed for so many years is changing, but it doesn't erase you. It reveals where belief needs to be rebuilt. Being a stay-at-home mom was a role I lived fully, intentionally, and completely. That role mattered to me on a deep level. And even though it felt like it was all that I was, it wasn't who I am. And the same is true for you. So let's take a minute and talk honestly. Our changing relationships with our children can bring up unexpected questions about who we are and what we're here for. It's easy to stay busy instead of facing the questions about who we want to be, especially when a belief starts whispering that it might be too late. But the truth is, when roles change, it doesn't mean you no longer have a purpose. It means it's time to look at what we believe about ourselves and our future possibilities. Clarity doesn't come from rushing into the next thing. It comes from believing that you still matter, that your desires still count, and that your life isn't finished because one chapter is closed. This next stage of life is asking you to become. It's asking you to believe in yourself again. If you're watching this right now and you want help creating a clear, grounded map for what's next, I'd love to talk with you. Book a call with me and we'll walk through where you are and where you want to be. You don't have to figure this out alone. If this episode resonated with you, sit with it for a bit. You don't need all the answers today. Belief comes first, clarity follows. And remember, you still have a purpose. Want to know how I know? Because you're here listening to this podcast and looking for the next significant thing you will create in your life. It may look different than you expected, but it's still your purpose, and it is yours for the taking. Thanks for listening to Doodle Healing the Warrior Way podcast, where your life is your masterpiece. If today's episode inspired you, make sure to subscribe and share it with a friend who needs a little encouragement. Want more? Grab my free Doodle Your Vision Board guide. The link is in the description below. Remember, you are the warrior of your story. Your life, your masterpiece.